Hey everyone, Brian from Bearable Traders here. It's Sunday afternoon, April 18th. Hope everyone's had a great weekend. It's really nice weather out here on the coast, and I hope you enjoyed your weekend as well. So this is Sunday evening, so this is where we look back at the week that was and look ahead, try to figure out where things are going, make a plan, trading plan, and some interesting things have happened actually even today. Sunday had a real significant drop in Bitcoin. I think it was off like 15% at one point. I think it's recovered some of that by now, but I think that'll be on certainly a lot of people's minds on Monday morning. And what else we got coming up Monday? We've got lots of earnings on deck this week. We've got Intel, Coke, we've got Netflix coming up. Apple's got their I guess Investor Day on the 20th, the Tuesday. That'll be interesting to see what new products are coming down the pipe. And of course, we got UAL, one of the airlines, and also J&J will probably get some update on the vaccine stuff. So that's that's some of the stuff that's coming up this week. Of course, we're just getting into earnings seasons now. So let's take a quick look now. Let's get into the charts, see what we can see. Okay, just before we get going here, this is my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's there for the taking. So let's dive into the markets here and see where we've been this week. Try to take a look at where we might be going. Start out with the TLT. This is the bond price, of course, and you can see here as prices have started to come back up on the bonds. After we had that big sell-off, of course, this reacts inversely to the yields. So you can see here, Friday we had a bit of a spike in the yields, but again, still looks like we've broken this trend, and yields may be rolling over. We are getting a little extended here, as you can see from the stochastics, but probably more to the upside. Time will tell this week. But this is something we're definitely keeping an eye on, because if the yields start to spike up again, obviously that will be a challenge for particularly the technology sector, the growth sector, as we saw as the yields started to spike up there a little while ago. So, and this is the 10-year, of course, so you can see here, 10-year Treasury, it's starting to roll over a bit again. Transports, interesting week. We're really putting in some topping action here. You can see here on Friday we tried to break out, pulled back, and sort of finished the Friday, the week kind of weak. The week was weak. Let's take a quick look at the weekly here. Again, bit of an indecision candle, and again very overbought here. So not surprising we're going to get a pullback. All of these averages we're going to look at here quickly. You can see they're really extended to the upside. Getting quite a distance away from the 20 moving average here. And when we do get these kind of extensions, we anticipate a pullback, or at the very least a consolidation until we get closer to these moving averages again. So again, really overbought on transports on the weekly. The Dow, again, we pushed to an all-time high, as was with the SPY and the Qs, but you can see here Dow finishing up again, new high through the 34,000 level. Actually did it on some decent volume on Friday, picked up a little bit. We are definitely, even on a daily, overbought on the Dow. On the weekly, of course, same story. Again, pushing up here. The Qs, a little bit topping action on Friday. We did get well off we did sell off, and then went right back up to finish near the high of the day. Volume starting to pick up a little bit, although it is still pretty weak. You'd like to see a little bit more volume on these breakouts, just to confirm the price action. That doesn't necessarily mean that the indexes and stocks can't go higher on low volume, but it's sort of I would say it's a bit of negative. It's the Qs on a weekly. Again, you can see all-time high. Again, very, very lethargic in terms of volume. MACD is starting to turn up again. RSI is getting close to being overbought, but not quite as extended as, say, the SPY here, which is very extended from the 20. And you can see here we're in overbought territory. Pretty decent volume on Friday. On the weekly, you can see again we're getting a little bit extended. We've had pretty much the month of new highs, and or at least the last 4 weeks of new highs. So volume really starting to taper off here. Yeah, definitely a little bit overbought. We need to do some consolidation. This is the only index that really hasn't broken out, or at least hasn't done much in the last probably 2 months. You can see here we did sell off, put in a bit of a higher low, and now we've just been consolidating in a pretty narrow range. To me, this looks like we are trying to break out here. Next week will be interesting to see if we can actually punch through this sort of, well, the high of the day, which was about 225. If we can start punching through there, then 230 and 235 could be our next levels. But this is the index that's sort of been lagging, and I would look to watch it to see if it can start to catch up with the other indexes. You can see here we're pretty strong in the momentum indicator in terms of the stochastics. RSI is above 50, so I think odds are we're probably going to get a new high on the IWM, or at least a higher high. And on a week here, you can see we finished a little bit up on the week, 1%. Although the volume, again, very light. The dollar really has taken a beating here, and again, this is good for emerging markets and good for gold, but we're getting back into a bit of a range here. You can see this was prior resistance, and then we broke out. If you look at this sort of peak to trough, I think our retracement's been about 50%. We're right at a moving average here. I would expect the dollar to bounce a bit. You can see here the volume's almost non-existent on that ETF, but anyway, and this is what we were talking about earlier, the Bitcoin, real hard sell-off here. I think there was some news came out that maybe the government was going to start cracking down, the U.S. government, on use of Bitcoin to launder money. So it did take a bit of a hit along with all the other cryptocurrencies. So we'll see what happens here. It's right, this particular currency obviously likes to trade very technically. So you can see here we're trying to hold this support here on the 50, and we'll see if it can bounce back up or if we've got some more downside. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting play on Monday, because you'll be seeing stocks like Mara, Riot, CAN, and of course Coin, which people have, which came out last week. I suspect they'll be, unless we get a real rebound overnight on this, I suspect they'll be taking a bit of a hit in the morning, and we'll see if there's some kind of a bounce there after a sell-off and weekends. Okay, so let's take a quick look at some of the sectors. We'll go through them quickly. You can see here again we had a new high on the discretionary, still pushing higher. Communications and technology, a bit of a sell-off on Friday, and we, definitely some topping action on the communication side of things. Again, maybe a little bit of overbought on the technology. Again, you can see how far we are from the moving averages. Industrials trending higher, and materials trending higher. I think these are the two indexes that are going to continue to do well. I'd be watching the materials particularly. We're probably getting into a bit of a commodity boom here. Of course, everything's been going up in price, lumber, foodstuffs, that kind of thing. While we've been going up, the staples have always have continued to go up as well. And staples started to break out here on Friday. So I'd be watching staples. Healthcare broke out. Utilities, again, safety trade like staples, the two of them are breaking out, which makes me a little bit nervous about this rally that we've been having. If money's rotating as well into these two, what would be called safe haven plays. A lot of the banks or financials came out last week, pretty good numbers, and you can see here financials did okay last week, and real estate again doing a little, keeping the trend, bottom left to upper right here. So I just want to point out something before we go through our watch list for this week. There is something I was looking at, a report. I like to look at things that make me nervous, and this is the one thing that sort of stood out. I was looking at this report, And it was a report on margin debt. And you can see here it's the debit balances and margin accounts at broker dealers. So you can see here, this is a March or an April 15th report, but you can see here, this is the amount of margin that's been accumulating. And you can see the margin has really spiked up here. And this is, this basically represents, traders, investors, whatever you want to call them, that are using their margin accounts to lever up on their positions. And when this happens, it can be a little dangerous. If we do start to get a sell-off, what'll happen next is you'll start to get margin calls, and then that will start forced selling, and of course then we'll get an even bigger flush. So you can see here the margin debt how it's changed in billions of dollars. So it's pretty crazy. Again, this is something that I'm keeping an eye on and keeping in the back of my mind. If we do start to get some real selling and people are really margined up and they start getting margin calls, this is the kind of thing that's really going to rock the market. So something to keep in mind. This is from a Yardeni report here. So let's quickly run through some stocks that we're watching here, or at least I'm watching. You can see here, I like AI, one of our other mods. Jared has taken a position in this. It had a nice double bottom here. And you can see where it looks like we're trying to put in a higher low. And so I joined him on that trade. I've got picked up some shares on Friday, just a small position, but I think it's starting to look fairly attractive. And yeah, so hopefully I'll just be using this as this low as a stop. Probably keep it fairly tight. But looking for higher on that. I'm keeping an eye on this Discovery Channel. I've got an alert set for around $35. If it fires off, I'll take a look at it again and decide maybe this is going to be the bottom here. This was 34.60 was the low on this candle here. I think it's obviously been suffering from this the Archie-Go blow up. And again, just started keeping an eye on it. I thought it might hold 40, but again, more downside, and stochastics really getting oversold here. So again, it's got to be due for a bounce at some point. I was looking at DraftKings. DraftKings is really trading horribly, and I like to look for divergence in price. So DraftKings actually came out with an announcement about a deal with the NFL, I believe, and popped up at the open. And you can see what happened here. It pretty much gave back just about everything, it gained from the previous day, which tells me that the seller or the buyers really weren't there on that announcement. They just sold into that. So I'm looking at this as a pretty major level of support here, right at this 57 level. I do have an alert set at 57. If that fires off, I might look at taking it short through either by selling calls possibly, or just shorting the shares. But you can see here we're putting in what looks like a head and shoulders pattern. There's the left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and maybe we roll over here and sort of head down to this 200-day moving average possibly even. So watching DraftKings, it's not looking very healthy. LABU, I thought maybe it was going to break out here. I haven't taken a position yet. It didn't get through this 20. It's pulled back. But maybe this will be a higher low, so I'll just keep an eye on that one. I was reading something on the weekend about the White House making lithium and some of the rare earth elements a real priority going forward, which they should, because what I understand, China right now is responsible for about 80% of the supply of rare earth elements, which is not a good thing, depending on one country, for a pretty strategically important resource, especially when you consider how much it's needed in this electrification of vehicles and all the rest of that. So possibly a bounce on Lithium Americas here. It does seem to be holding this 14 level, 1388. So I'll be looking for maybe some more strength in this and able to use a pretty tight stop here if it starts to break down. Lumber liquidators, I did take a position here. I said I was going to take one when it went through 27 and closed above there. So small position on that. PLTR, I'm still keeping an eye on, but again, I think this is a little like DraftKings to me. It's looking weak. Certainly, this is a pretty important level. This sort of 21.5 level. If we lose that, it's really going to flush. We've got a whole lot of airspace down here, say down to 15 on this one. Maybe some support here at $20 on this candle, but yeah, it's not looking healthy. Plug looks like maybe we're going to get a bit of a bounce here. Again, this is into an area where it's had some prior support, so keeping an eye on that on Monday. TAN, again, sort of same comment as the LAC lithium stuff. It does look like it's maybe trying to find a bottom here. TIGR, I'm watching this one. This does look like it's broken this downtrend, and now it's kind of churning sideways. Again, it's above the 20 moving average. If it can hold this sort of 18 level, we could be looking at going back up to sort of 23 level. Moving average there. Not a lot of volume on Friday, but again, MACD is turning up here, it looks like. So TIGR looks interesting. USO had a nice pop, the oil stock, and again, it's just it's looking like it's either going to break out here or break down. So keep an eye on that for the energy trade. And I did want to talk about one other thing that I didn't put up here. This actually wanted to do the GDX. I am long of some gold right now. We had a nice breakout here from this level. This was obviously prior support along this line, then it became resistance here and here, and then it became support here, and we had a nice little breakout. So we've had a nice breakout. We're back up into an area where there may be some resistance, but I think overall, I think the trend is looking positive for gold. So yeah. Okay, so that's it. I do like to try to keep these under 12 minutes. This went 15. I'm sorry for that. Let's take a quick look at the futures. 100 down on the Dow right now. Things are looking a little bit on the weak side, but nothing horrific. What else going on? Oil's off a little bit. Natural gas is up. Gold kind of flats. Silver's down like more closer to 0.5%. Yeah, so we'll see how things look when we get closer to the open. This is certainly all very preliminary right now. We'll see what happens overnight, but should be some fun in the morning, especially with the Bitcoin situation. So have a great rest of the weekend, everybody, and we'll see you in the Bear Bull Trading Room. We start at 8 o'clock, obviously, live on YouTube. Jared engineering the markets, and then Norman Carlos at 8:30 will be taking us through the pre-market show movers that are making the news in the morning there. So we'll hope to see you all there. Take care. Bye for now.